Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa from Trails Edge Astrology, and on this channel, I like to give you grounded, practical advice so you can make the best decisions possible. And today, I'd like that advice to be about what I think is going to happen with this 2024 presidential election. I'm recording this on Friday, November 1st, and the final day to vote is, of course, Tuesday, November 5th. And I want to use a technique called Horary Astrology or a divinational astrology tool. It's an ancient technique. I have taken a year-long class with Adam Ellenboss. I have done a workshop with Anne Ortley on this technique, and I've, of course, read some books on this technique, but I'm not an expert in it. And I think the chart is pretty clear, and it gives us another data point as we go into this weekend, which has some really, really intense energy, some intense astrological stuff going on. And so, we might be feeling a little out of sorts anyway. And so hopefully this will help calm, calm some anxiety. And of course, we know that whatever happens, it is for the highest good. And, if our candidate doesn't win, uh, there is work we have to do as a society. It will be okay. We will get through it no matter what happens. So there's my pep talk. Let's look at the chart and the technique of horary astrology in terms of deciding election winners. All right. So here's the chart. And with horary astrology, you look at the chart of the moment that you ask the question. So this is when I asked the question, who will be the winner of the 2024 presidential election? And when you look at this, or when you use this technique, sorry, I'm trying to get my tools up. When you look at this technique, you look at the ruler of the first house as as the significator is what it's called of the candidate you'd like to win, and the ruler of the seventh house as the significator of the other candidate. And so for us, the ascendant is in Scorpio, 28 degrees of Scorpio right now, which means the ruler for, I guess I should back up. I voted for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is my chosen candidate. So Kamala Harris would be the ruler of the ascendant, which is Mars. So Kamala Harris in this chart would be Mars. Donald Trump in this chart would be Venus, because that is the ruler of the seventh house. So those are what we call our significators. And in horary astrology, we look at a couple things. We look at aspects that are going to be made, imminent aspects that will be made, um, and um, and we look at the relative position of of the planets to kind of make a determination as to what we think will happen. So when we look at, when we just look at these two on the face, Mars is not in great shape. Mars is in its fall, or debilitated at least in Cancer. So that's not great. Venus in Scorpio is neutral, neither good nor bad. So in this case, like just on the face of it, Venus probably is a little bit stronger than Mars, in terms of planetary placements, which would give Trump a slight edge in this case. But don't worry, there's more. So that's the first step I usually take. The second step is to look at um, upcoming aspects. And of course, we've got this Mars Pluto opposition happening right now, which definitely speaks to power struggles and power dynamics, and yeah, some definite consternation and uncertainty. Um, but it's definitely a powerful aspect, and it's happening right now as I'm asking this. The other place I'm interested in, um, so the ruler of the 10th house is the government, and we see the government is Mercury. So the president is this 10th house. And we will note that Mercury is at 28 degrees. So within the next little bit, Mercury will make a nice trine to Mars. So I like that. Those are two prominent prominent aspects. The ascendant is also right there, making that trine. I like the fact that the government is in the first house, which is Kamala Harris's house. I like that. It's also interesting that Trump is in um, Kamala's first house, or he's in the first house of the chart representing Kamala. That probably means he's thinking a lot about her. Um, so I think all that looks really good. I like all that. Let me back out of this. Um, when we look at Trump and Venus, the thing I'm looking at for Trump, so there aren't a ton of aspects coming up for Trump. Beyond the moon will eventually, no, it won't. That's a semi-square, so that doesn't count. In horary astrology, you only use certain aspects. So we do have Venus coming in to oppose Jupiter, but it's not as imminent. I mean, the Mars-Pluto is right there, and the Mercury will meet first. So a Venus-Jupiter aspect is good. That's a nice thing. He doesn't have the house of the government. The other thing about Trump that is interesting in this chart, again, let me back out a little bit. When I'm looking at it, is we got Uranus over here entering the seventh house, which is Trump's house in this chart. And Uranus brings disruption and uncertainty and kind of shakes things up. And so that I don't love in terms of, if he were my candidate, I would not love that. So on the whole, I would say this chart definitely, yeah, I would give this chart a nudge towards Harris, because I just feel like the aspects to government and the aspects to that Pluto Mars opposition are just interesting. Like there's some power here that I think is showing up. I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah, so oops, I stopped sharing in the wrong spot. There we go. So there's some power here in terms of this chart that I really feel like speaks to Harris. There's some definite significations of strength. The moon in a horary chart represents the people. It's going to make a whole lot of other aspects before it reaches an aspect to Mars, which of course is Harris in this case. So I don't know that that necessarily tells us much, although the next aspect it's going to make is to Saturn, which is, of course, a representation of government. So I'm babbling. All that is to say, I think the horary chart still points to Harris as the winner of this election. And again, time will tell. And I do believe that, sometimes as human beings, we have to go through struggles or not end up with what we want in order to see a path through. I think that Trump had to be president to wake a lot of us up, to like shake off that apathy, and we may have to do that again. I don't know. When I look at the November astrology, it seems less likely, but again, I'll record that here in a little bit so that you can look at the whole month and kind of like draw your own conclusions. But for now, I will leave you with that. I think the horary chart that I pulled, as I am interpreting it as a novice horary chart reader, has a nod towards Harris. So that's my 2 cents. And I'll talk to you soon.